And he came to me and he said, Smoltz, I'm going to hit a home run the next time I face you and do a pirouette at home plate. And I said, Barry, you're a bigger man than me. If you do that, more power to you. And I said, Barry, I'll tell you what, if I strike you out, I'm going to sit on the mound after I strike you out. And he goes, matter of fact, next time I face you, I'm going to hit 2 home runs off you. And that's how he left it. September comes. We're in a position. We're going to win the division. He hits 2 home runs off of me and beats me single-handedly. And after the game, he come running on the bus screaming, where's Smoltz? Where's Smoltz? And he starts telling everybody, I told you that's what I was going to do.
Welcome again, everyone. Fair Bets Podcast is back. Fallica Geoff Schwartz, Sammy P. Will Hill join us in the gambling group chat later on. Everyone's so focused on March Madness right now. Some people may forget that the Major League Baseball season is officially getting underway in full swing. I know we had those games in Japan last week, but baseball season is in full swing. And Jeff, we are very fortunate this week. Very fortunate today to have John Smoltz joining us to preview the baseball season and kind of talk about some of the big storylines and kind of maybe help us make a little bit out of this baseball season, maybe more than we normally would get. John, appreciate you hopping on. And I guess right off the bat, we may as well start with the defending champion Dodgers. I mean, I think a lot of people view this as Dodgers kind of versus the field. You're probably going to get Shohei to pitch at some point this year. You add Sasaki, all the other pitchers that they brought in, they're going to get healthier. Like, is this as easy as kind of Dodgers versus the field? And is this a team that's going to win 104, 105 games this year?
Yeah, it's the biggest win total I've seen ever since doing this. And if it was just about the win total and they didn't care about the playoffs, they would easily go over it. And what I mean by that is they're stacked. Now, you can't take into the fact that the injuries that they've had over the last 4 years has been something they have to deal with. That's why they have 102 starting pitchers on their rotation. But I think there's going to be some complication in how he manages that, meaning they're going to try to win every game. Don't get me wrong. But when push comes to shove, they're set up to win a World Series. I think that is what's going to be the most important. I don't know they're going to be pushed in their division to really matter at the end of the year. But if everything goes according to their plan and what their roster is, they should win this division easily. And then I think they're going to set up September to look to get guys healthy to make a deep run. They did not have the right formula to win the World Series last year, but they won it. Give them credit for that. They had beat up pitching, an unbelievable bullpen, but there's going to be some carryover effect for some of those bullpen arms, I'm afraid, as the season plays out. That's why the depth of their starting rotation is going to be so important.
Let's turn to the team they beat in the World Series last year, the New York Yankees, without Juan Soto in the lineup. How does that affect sort of Aaron Judge's season? How would you attack Judge off his MVP year without Soto in the lineup?
I think it's going to be fine for Aaron Judge. Yes, that's the ultimate protector. I thought the Yankees did way better. If they weren't going to sign Soto, they made way good moves. I mean, they did things they could accomplish their roster. Now, you can't account for Cole being out for the year. That is devastating. I thought they were heads above the rest as the favorites in the American League with Cole. Now it's going to be more average because they don't have that monster in the front of the rotation. But having their lineup be a little bit more flexible than it's been, I think they're going to learn from last year. They're going to be more fundamentally sound. They're going to base run better. But I think collectively they have a lineup that's going to complement Aaron Judge. Look, Aaron Judge by himself, people pitch to him. And the reason they pitch to him is because he can go in streaks where he doesn't see the ball very well. But then when he's in streaks where he sees it very well, you're in trouble. So that's to your question. I think he still has enough protection in the line.
Yeah, and that was the situation last year in the World Series where he really did struggle. 58 homers it was last year. I think his total this year is around 48 and a half. So if you like Judge, you're getting a little bit of a discount. But we mentioned Garrett Cole being out. A couple of pitchers coming back this year at some point from injury. Spencer Strider, Sandy Alcantara. You have had Tommy John surgery as well. These two guys are frontline Cy Young type starters. How can we expect them to kind of work themselves back into the rotation? Are we going to see like 4 inning starts from these guys, 5 inning starts max? How soon do you think we're going to see these guys get back to the level that we know that they can be?
Well, the disadvantage that some of them have in coming back, they're max effort guys. Alcantara doesn't look like a max effort guy. He just has the phenomenal delivery and everything about him. I love as a pitcher. That's why you hope these guys can stay healthy. But when you're a max effort guy, it's going to slow walk. I hate the way that we're treating pitchers today. I've said that publicly, and it doesn't seem to ever change. But I think for a guy like Spencer Strider, who's super talented, but he's been kind of brainwashed by analytics to throw the ball right down the middle because he has the most unhittable fastball in the game. But you know what that translates into? A false sense of security, because now when you have your best fastball, which is let's say 30 starts, you're going to have that maybe 15 times, maybe 17 times. So you're going to dominate. And in those other games, when you don't have that electric juice, you're going to give up a lot of solo home runs or home runs. So I think in an evolution of pitching with the stuff these guys have, I would say Strider is maybe a little bit more of a disadvantage, but when he gets connected back to knowing his elbow's healthy, obviously he's a 12 to 14 strikeout guy. But if he could cut down on those pitches and last a little longer, you're going to see a dominant pitcher that we haven't seen in a long time.
It's so funny you mentioned that, because I'm thinking back to a couple of years ago when I had a nice Spencer Strider ticket to win the Cy Young, and that was his problem. Like, he would be unbelievable. Then he'd have that start where he'd go in 2 2/3, allow 6 runs and a couple of homers, and that's ultimately the year that Blake Snell did win that Cy Young. So that hit a little too close to home for me right there.
Well, and that's why I'm not anti-analytics, but when you're all analytics and you don't teach these guys what the metrics of really learning how to pitch, and you just kind of go in quadrants, then you're kind of hypnotized by that style of pitching. And when it's on, it looks great. And that's why everybody beats their chest and goes, see, I told you, he has the most unhittable fastball in the middle of the zone. But who in the history of the game wants to pitch in the middle of the zone? It's just not normal. So I think that is the next level for Spencer Strider, if he can pitch the quadrants instead of just over the heart of the plate.
John, people love to wager on long shots to win divisions, to make the playoffs. Is there a team or teams that you've picked out this year that did not make the playoffs last year that have a chance? Maybe the Mariners get some offense going a little bit. I know they were close last year. The Reds as well. Like, do you have a team or two do you think can make the playoffs that was not in last season?
Yeah, the West in the American League definitely going to have one of those teams, if not two. It could be a Ranger resurgence. It could be the Seattle Mariners, who everybody loves because their pitching is so good. I would say Seattle tops that list. And in the National League, the Central's wide open. I think somebody other than Milwaukee possibly wins that division. I like the Cubs. I know they had to start in Tokyo and they had to face the Dodgers right out of the gate, but I think they made enough adjustments that the Cubs are going to have a fine year and they're going to be really good. I've always said the Pittsburgh Pirates are dangerous, but they never seem to really want to win when it matters and do the things you have to do. If Pittsburgh isn't relevant this year, it's a shame. Because they have the talent, they have the pitching, and baseball's better when Pittsburgh's relevant. So they've always been my dark horse, but every time I seem to get on that bandwagon, they show me why. Over the last 10 years, it's the same old story.
And you would think that is a team that baseball would love to rally behind, with Skeens, and you got O'Neill Cruz, who's a marketable guy. That's it. My wife's from Pittsburgh, so I know all about Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
It's a good town, so she would be very happy with that as well.
All right, John, I'm a Giants baseball fan, and I love nothing more than hearing guys who played against Barry Bonds tell their favorite Bonds story. I know some of your former teammates have said stories. I know some guys that have played him. What's your favorite Bonds story or favorite Bonds memory?
Well, I know Barry very well. I understand him. I know what makes him tick. Obviously, great player. Some people who don't understand him might have a different read on Barry Bonds. I challenged him way too much, but we had a scenario in the All-Star game where there was a misunderstanding. I won't go into all of the details. It was like his home run hitting competition against Mark McGwire. Somehow he thought I was rooting for Mark McGwire. I was not. I was on the same team as his. And he came to me and he said, Smoltz, I'm going to hit a home run the next time I face you and do a pirouette at home plate. And I said, Barry, you're a bigger man than me. If you do that, more power to you. And I said, Barry, I'll tell you what, if I strike you out, I'm going to sit on the mound after I strike you out. And he goes, matter of fact, next time I face you, I'm going to hit 2 home runs off you. And that's how he left it. September comes. We're in a position. We're going to win the division. He hits 2 home runs off of me and beats me single-handedly. And after the game, he come running on the bus screaming, where's Smoltz? Where's Smoltz? And he starts telling everybody, I told you that's what I was going to do. And listen, I have all the respect for a guy who backs up what he says. That's why I think he's one of the greatest all-time players in the game. But here's the deal. I mean, fortunately, I never really lost to him in the postseason, or he beat me in the postseason, but I did give up 9 home runs to him. I tipped my hat. He said he was going to do it. He did it. There was nothing I could do to prevent it. And for Barry Bonds and we get to he gets to enjoy that story.
Does he still owe you a pirouette?
Thankfully, he didn't do a pirouette because he was more focused on hitting his second one. I think if he'd have done a pirouette, he might have been worried that he didn't have an opportunity to hit his second one. So, but those battles when we were in the West all those years, people forget we were in the West. We faced them so many times. So his average was under 300 against me, but his numbers was high.
Yeah, no, I can remember the home run chase, and when I was working at another network on another show at that time, it was always who was going to be. We actually had a little lottery, like who was going to be working the late Sports Center that night, the night that Barry Bonds broke the home run record. And fortunately, I did not win that lottery, and I was I was free and clear of staying till about 4 a.m. that night. But John, that was awesome.
Thank you.
Appreciate you taking the time out to do that so much, and have a great year, my man.
I appreciate it. Talk to you guys down the road.
All right. Jeff and I are a lot smarter now for getting to preview some of the baseball season with John Smoltz. That was fun. Best guest by far that the Bear Bets podcast has ever had. Now we need to keep that level consistent. We need to reach out into the guest world and bring in some heavy hitters to get this podcast to the level that we all know it can be after having John on. But that was good. I kid, but it was great to get his perspective. The Barry Bonds story was hysterical as well. And he and I might not see eye to eye on the Yankees, but it's okay. Well, that's why the betting markets are out there.
You hate your favorite teams. We understand this, Bear. We're well aware. Will's a Yankees fan too. Do you hate the Yankees as much as Bear does? Because Bear just despises all his favorite team. Miami, all Miami sports. The Yankees, the Jets, obviously. He doesn't like the Steelers anymore. Just doesn't like any team.
I do. I can't stand the way they run the team. George Steinbrenner, when he ran the team, he would bleed to win. He'd rather lose money and win than make money and lose. It's the exact opposite with his kid, where it's all about the profits and, make the playoffs. Then whatever happens from there is gravy. But there's just not they used to be like the Dodgers. It was just stack the best team possible. They make so much money and they just pocket most of the profits, and they kind of half-ass it in terms of winning.
But they have to pay 60% of a luxury tax now for every dollar they spend for over 301, right? So that's obviously a consideration, right?
Oh, poor Yankees.
Well, the Dodgers don't care, obviously. The Dodgers don't care.
No, which is what Will just said. The Yankees used to not care. That's why you
donate more money to them.
That's why you won 96, 97, 98. Well, they didn't win 97, but that's why
Sandy Alomar, that damn Sandy Alomar.
How did that ball get out of that was such a great pitch low and away too. I have no idea.
This is my fault, Sammy. I got him in the Yankees talk. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Jared Wright's deal with the devil that postseason. Oh. And now I'm going to see. That's when I actually really did like the team, though, because they the way they ran it was great, and it was a group of homegrown guys that were just fun to root for. But anyway, they came up short in the World Series last year. The Dodgers beat them in that 6th game. That was who knows what happens if the Yankees win that game. It was 6th game or 5th game.
5th game.
5th game, yeah.
We don't know, and we don't care. We love the Yankees sucking, right, Jeff?
I'm all for it. I'm for the pain that it causes. No, I think.
How did Aaron Judge drop that? That was God.
I think it's obviously.
I thought I was over it.
For baseball, Dodgers Yankees World Series, like nothing's better than that, obviously, right? But
Yeah,
I think the rest of the country would rather have someone else than the Yankees, and I think it's inevitably going to be the Dodgers. As much as I hate saying that, like I don't. Maybe Atlanta pokes through there, or someone else. Maybe Philly finally gets through with their older roster, but it's going to be Dodgers and then whoever else, but probably not the Yankees. So you'll be happy.
Is it smart just to bet the Dodgers at plus 300 or whatever they are right now to win? Just have it in pocket at the end of the year, and then maybe try and poach a long shot along the way. Like, I don't even know like who ultimately could be. Maybe the Rangers at like 25-1 is someone in that division. They can win that division and get in. Like, I don't know. I can't bet the Yankees at the price that they are right now for sure. But is it smart, Sammy, Will, whomever, to just kind of bet the Dodgers down and just have it for the postseason?
I know some guys that watched the first 2 games against the Cubs, shorthanded as they are, without a couple guys, and still fired over the adjusted win total and went over, I think, 105.5 2 games in. So I don't think it's the worst idea. It's like Scotty Scheffler insurance at the Masters. You just bet it and figure it out later. I don't love betting the favorite in baseball of all sports, because I do feel like if there's one sport where the best team doesn't always win, it's baseball. That said, at just shy of 3-1, putting that in right now and seeing what happens, probably not the worst idea.
Yeah, certainly couldn't argue if you bet it. Is it like some great bet that you have to cut in line to bet with a best of 5 division round? I mean, let's just assume they win the division, which they probably will. That best of 5 is tricky, especially you get a team like maybe the Phillies or the Mets, Braves, whoever. You draw on that first best of 5. Remember, as great as they are, as inevitable as they seem, they were down 2-1 to the Dodgers, to the Padres in San Diego, and they were throwing a bullpen game, and the Dodgers and the Padres were throwing cease. So they were on the brink of losing again in the wild card round. They lost the wild card round before to Arizona, and the year before that to the Padres. So we all saw it's like the Dodgers now, they win every year. They're a game away from losing the 3rd straight year in the wild card round. So it's too random that round of 5. So again, I couldn't say, oh wow, what a stupid bet if you made it. It's just I don't think there's like a ton of value there.
Well, Willie, you approach this Dodgers team the best of anything I've heard in how you can bet them in terms of division, win total, and when the Dodgers to be the 1 seed in the National League. You talked about that at minus 160. It was minus 160 up until the Tokyo game, and it's still minus 200. Like if you look at the win totals for the Braves, the Phillies, the Mets, like the Dodgers they're a lot lined like what 10 more wins than those teams, and like even I think minus 200 still feels cheap. I think like I would still bet that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and they had a win or so in the book. I think the game was winding down against the Cubs in that first game. It looked like, okay, it's 1 out of 162, but they're about to be 1-0, and that number still hadn't moved. And yeah, at minus 200, I think that's still probably a good bet. I know people don't want to lay minus 200 for a bet that won't cash until October if it wins, for a bet that may or may not win. But I do think just in terms of the number value, Sammy, there is certainly value there.
I thought that was a blue horseshoe pick. No, that was you first. Oh, I get it. I get it confused. Sorry.
So if we were looking to take a flyer on anyone to win the World Series, does anybody have a team that they like?
I think
like
you go to
Texas
the American League. I was just going to say it. Go ahead. You first. You're on fire right now.
No, I like Texas. I mean, I just think that they had a lot of injury luck go against them last year with Seager. Now you get DeGrom. Hopefully, maybe just them, not even from a betting standpoint, just from a baseball standpoint. Him and Trout are 2 guys where it's like, man, these are 2 all-time great players that just kind of got derailed in the prime of their career. So if you can ever get DeGrom, I think, man, people forget how good he was because he hasn't pitched in forever. He's just like a cheat code out there. Adding him to a team that won the World Series without him 2 years ago, a World Series that gets completely forgotten because it's kind of out of nowhere. They played Arizona. You add a Wyatt Langford kind of player who's possibly at some point an MVP candidate. Barry, I know you took a shot at him as a long shot to win MVP. I just think there's a ton of talent there. A manager who's done it before, who's won everywhere, won with the Giants, won with the Rangers. He's one of the few managers that makes a difference. I just think from a talent standpoint, Sammy, that 25-1 with all of their ability makes a lot of sense.
It just makes sense to bet somebody in the American League that isn't the Yankees, because if you look at this market, pull up whatever book you want. 4 of the top 5 teams are all from the National League. And the 5th team is the Yankees, who I don't like this year. And the market has bet their win total from 94.5 to 88. So that's not good for the Yankees, yet the Yankees are still priced as the best team to win from the American League. But I'm not betting that 8-9 to 1. Ain't happening. So I circled 2 teams, the Astros and the Rangers, and I just like the number more on Texas. I don't want to piggyback on everything Will just said because I think he laid it out well. But I think that rotation and the bats at the top of that lineup are enough to get them through the American League. And then at that point, you see what happens. Maybe they don't have to face the Dodgers, and maybe they're plus 130 in the World Series, and then you go from there. But I think Texas is a great call.
So Bruce Bochy, their manager, has been in the World Series now with 3 teams. He's won 4 World Series with 2 of those teams, with 3 of the Giants and 1 with the Rangers. Obviously,
I was gonna say,
And-
I believe one of them was the San Francisco Giants, right?
3 with the Giants, by the way.
Okay.
3
Three,
with the
yes.
Giants, 1 with the
3.
Rangers. The
Yeah,
Padres
right.
got swept, I believe.
Okay.
Maybe by your Yankees. They get swept by the Yankees.
Yes,
98.
Sure did.
That's what
98.
it was, yeah. So look, the thing about Bochy and his teams, as someone who's watched a lot of them, is just have to get in the postseason and then he figures it out. He is masterful at using the bullpen. He's masterful at making little changes with lineup tweaks, offense, defense, putting guys in certain situations to have success. So I think anytime that they can get in the postseason, they're always live to win a lot of World Series, to win a lot of games and get to the World Series because of his managerial style. He always pushes the right buttons. We saw it a couple of years ago in Texas. We saw it with the Giants for so many years. So if they can get in, they're always worth a wager.
So we're looking now, maybe some other awards. Move over to the MVP. We'll start with the American League, where Aaron Judge won it last year. Will, you got an unbelievable number. You were way ahead of everybody else on this, and hopefully those at foxsports.com who read your article cashed nicely. But Judge is plus 310 right now to win the AL MVP, and that's a little short given that he loses protection in the lineup with Soto and Stanton. John Smoltz was talking about how he still thinks he's going to have a great year because he's a guy who can go into some prolonged slumps, and you want to face him at that point when he's just not seeing the ball and he's struggling in the World Series at the plate. But it feels like Judge is not a good bet in the American League to win the award. Will, you hinted at it. I bet Wyatt Langford at 70 to 1 to win the American League MVP. Yeah, you can still find him around 40 to 1 or so. I think this is a guy who's ready to step up and have an unbelievable year at the plate and steal some bases, defense as well. One of the, I think, younger players in the game was destined to become a star. So I took a shot with Wyatt Langford. I think at 40 to 1, I think I would still take a price. I know there's a lot of love as well, kind of what Sammy was talking about in that division. Mariners, Julio Rodriguez off of a down year with hurt last year. He's someone that's taken some money as well, but I certainly understand that. But yeah, Langford for me was my big price play to win MVP. Will, did you have anybody in mind for this?
Yeah, I remember Judge last year. He was 16 to 1, middle of May, and he had a bad start. And Soto was the clear, almost like he didn't get to even money, but 2 to 1 because he was doing so well. And I think Soto was hitting over 300, and Judge was in the 230. So keep that in mind this year. That first month, 6 weeks, not that it doesn't matter, but as long as you're healthy, it's a long, long baseball season, as we know. So don't overreact to the first month. That being said, I'll throw out a couple.
I'm sorry to cut you because you said as long as you're healthy. And I'm thinking about this right now, and I'm looking at the odds. One guy that maybe long season, like, do we think maybe Gunnar Henderson, like if he's going to be only miss a couple of weeks, like, do we think his price maybe is something maybe worth playing now? We think the Orioles are going to be good. Like, do you think Gunnar Henderson can kind of be that guy this year? Maybe you're getting a better number on him than you really should.
Yeah, I'm seeing plus 850 at FanDuel. So I could certainly buy into that thinking. I'll throw a couple of real long shots, just sort of pizza money bets. Brent Rooker's 80 to 1 at FanDuel. He's 35 to 1 at DraftKings. So as always with any of this stuff, doesn't matter.
Yep.
College basketball, baseball, shop around. You'd be amazed.
I've noticed FanDuel has a lot better prices on some
much better prices. 80 to 1 for Rooker. He's going to be playing in a minor league stadium. He's a monster offensive player. Really studied like the analytics. You go back and look at some of his interviews where he was ready to be basically out of baseball, and he said, "Man, I need to do something." So he really went back and studied the game, studied his swing, all that kind of stuff, and he had a monster year last year. And you might say, well, he's going to be on an A's team that's lousy. It's going to make it hard for him to win. Yeah, maybe. But I think in this age now of analytics, team's record is not as important. If he's able to somehow put up, I don't know, 45, 48 homers at 80-1, is he live? Maybe. In that same price range, this has the opportunity to age very poorly. But Cody Bellinger playing in Yankee Stadium at 80-1, he's got the ability to pull the ball, to lift the ball. He's won an MVP before. So for somebody to say, oh, well, he can't win an MVP. He has won an MVP. Now you're going to put him in Yankee Stadium hitting behind Judge. I mean, it's 80-1. It's 80-1 for a reason. But is there a scenario where he can get up to that 45, 50 homer form, hitting in that ballpark, pulling and lifting the ball? I think those are at least interesting flyers, Sammy.
So I bet Julio at 25. You can still find that number if you have any friends or relatives in Nevada. It's mostly 20 or lower now across the American shops. But this is a guy who was 7-1 before the year last year. And I remember specifically looking at him and going, never in life 7-1. Well, then you triple the number, add a little bit more on top. 25 just had to get bet. He finished 7th his rookie year when he won the Rookie of the Year, and 4th in his second year. Now, last year wasn't great. Started off slow, got banged up, never caught up. But from a number standpoint, Bear, we're talking about in terms of relativity, Saquon Barkley being in that 25-1 range, and now he's priced at 7 going into this next season. It's the reverse on Rodriguez, who was 7-1 last year, and now he's 25-1 this year. So I'm always going to bet a guy who has the tools and the talent at a price that is just way too high.
Can I get, I know I'm a big football oaf and you guys are thankfully carrying most of this conversation for me. But Vlad Guerrero Jr. is going to contract year, and there's nothing more you want to do in a contract year than put up career best numbers. He hit really well the back half of last season. He's very durable. He plays a ton of games, ton of at bats. Like, you're not worried about injury with him. And again, he's trying to make that now. He's offered supposedly $500 million. He turned it down. I think he wants to be somewhere else other than Toronto.
Yes.
But it feels like a guy that he might be in pinstripes to go over that second luxury tax threshold there or whatever. But it does feel like he's going to have another big season the way he ended last season and playing for a contract this season. He had a career best last season, 323. It feels like a guy that's worth a wager on right now as we get to maybe middle of the season. And he takes a ton of at bats. He doesn't miss a lot of games, and he puts up big numbers.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the way to look at his year there would be look at maybe some of his individual statistical milestone overs, just in case again, who knows what Toronto is going to do. Is he a guy that maybe gets traded at the deadline and maybe he's a rental for a National League team? That would be the only thing I would worry about betting Vlade to be AL MVP. Just the worry that maybe Toronto just tries to get a haul, knowing that they're not going to be able to re-sign him.
So he'll be a Dodger, we're telling me, at some point this season. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And then he won't
Awesome.
win. Then he won't win the MVP.
Because his teammate will win the NL MVP.
But yeah, speaking of I did bet an award with the Blue Jays. I did bet Will Wagner at 15-1, American League Rookie of the Year. So I did bet something involving a Blue Jay. But you mentioned the reigning NL MVP, the short price favorite to be the NL MVP this year. As long as he's healthy, if he pitches at all, like how is he not? We talked about bet the Dodgers to win the World Series. Is it worth having in pocket? Isn't it just worth betting whatever the best price you could find at Ohtani right now to win MVP and just having that in pocket right now? Because he's at some point soon he's going to be minus money, right?
What's the worst season he can have and still win the MVP? Let's just say, like, when's he supposed to pitch? Let's just say he goes and I don't know. Yeah, pitches in June. I would just be concerned with the price and the voter fatigue. I know when he opened it 2-1, I was like, man, you have to bet that. If he's not going to pitch for half the season, are they going to just get sick of giving him the award? That would be my only concern. But I mean, your point is probably the correct one.
I don't know that the baseball voters are as stubborn as some of those NBA voters
Might be right.
are. NFL voters the same way. The baseball voters just vote on the numbers and the metrics. I mean, they do it every year, more than maybe any other sport. So I think you're okay. There's one shop in Vegas is dealing him plus a quarter, which is crazy to think that he's plus 125 to win an MVP before the season starts. Well, 2 games in, I guess. But that's wild. Go get that 170 if you're going to bet Ohtani. You're going to hear a lot of this. Got to bet Ohtani, got to bet Skeens. Fundamentally, I don't want to, but they could both win. You know, like that's sort of where I'm at. And I don't want to sit here on Bear Bets and say, bet the Dodgers, bet Ohtani, and bet Skeens.
Nerd.
I just like bigger numbers. So I'm not going to bet Ohtani this time around.
But I mean, but the thing is, like, the case against him is what? Is someone going to play better, or is Ohtani just not going to play as well?
Gets hurt.
He gets hurt. I mean, sure, that's certainly possible, but
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to get hurt, and he's going to add pitching back into his repertoire this year, and maybe that fatigues his hitting a little bit, and we look at a situation where his hitting numbers go down because he's pitching. I think Sammy's point about fatigue and the lack of it in voters in baseball is because there's 2 MVP awards, right? Like there's an NL and an AL, so I don't think they feel as constrained to have to find someone else to win the award. If Ohtani's the best player in the National League, he'll win the award again because he deserves it, guys. I mean, if he pitches like we know he can, plus the hitting, plus the Dodgers win 115 games, let's say, then obviously I think he's a shoe-in to win this award. You get a better number now than you would, months from now.
Acuna can't win at 30-1, can he? I mean, he's probably not coming back until May. What do you think?
That's a name that jumped out to me. Turner's another name at 50-1, just because his power, his speed, playing in that ballpark, playing a team that we think he's going to be good. That's at least an interesting number. Not to bring up painful memories, but 22-1 for Lindor with all that talent around him, a team that team might score, 1,000 runs this year with Alonso, Soto, and Lindor. He kind of has
Vientos. Don't forget about Vientos.
Yeah, I mean, it's a loaded lineup, Nimmo. And he's kind of got that monkey off his back in terms of being in New York, where they boom every at bat. Like he's comfortable there. He had big home runs in the postseason to get him into the postseason against the Braves. So I think he's going to be beloved there. So maybe, he relaxes and continues where he left off last year, which is still elite shortstop play, all that power, switch hitter, 22-1. Maybe you were a year early here on Lindor.
And just my luck. And that's kind of where, not to rehash it again, but that's kind of where I was last year, and why. I mean, it was partially tongue in cheek, and then it kind of got partially serious. Like, if you knew Ohtani was going to be coming back and pitching at a near Cy Young level, and he's having the offensive production that he has, like, he's going to be the MVP every year as long as he stays healthy. Like, last year was the perfect situation to maybe, like, without Lindor, the Mets kind of aren't going anywhere. And the Dodgers took off when Betts came back, and there was a chance, but the fact that he went 50-50, the voters just couldn't, and maybe shouldn't have even overlooked that. But
and Lindor missed a large chunk down the stretch. He missed a good last 2 weeks, where it made it very easy.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. But I thought Acuna at 30-1 might be someone, if the Braves maybe take off when he gets back from injury, would be a potential long shot in the NL MVP. But is anybody else looking to bet against Ohtani, or looking to bet on someone here? Sounds like a no. So we'll move on. Yeah, we'll move on to the Cy Young Award. We've got Turk Skubal, winner last year, is a favorite in the American League at around plus 350. I didn't really get involved in this in terms of Cy Young. I played some strikeout props with Tanner Bybee and Cole Reagans to lead in strikeouts. But I didn't get involved in the Cy Young. I think it's laughable that Jacob deGrom is the 5th choice at 14-1 when the guy's going to throw maybe 100 innings this year. I just couldn't find a price really to get behind and bet. But I would. It's like, I want to bet against Skubal. I want to bet against Garrett Crochet, but I just can't find anybody, Sammy, to really jump in on here at a price.
I did nothing in the American League. I will go against Skeens in the NL, but I couldn't get to the window. I looked at the Grom 14-1.
Me too.
I thought about it for a split second and then said, why? He's probably going to get hurt at some point, which will knock the number up, and then I can now bet 25. So you could probably wait on this market. I didn't make a single bet on the AL.
I haven't bet it yet. Guys that I think are at least interesting. Bybee, both the Guardians guys. Bybee's 35-1. Gavin Williams is 70-1. If you look at some of like the Stuff Plus metrics, I saw today listed for spring training, Gavin Williams was off the charts. That's a guy, he changed his mechanics. He a couple things that were, last year that he didn't do well, that he lost some break on his pitches, things like that. He's got really, really electric stuff. So 71 for Gavin Williams, 35-1 on Bybee. He's hurt already, so I don't think you can bet it. McClanahan at 50-1 with his stuff is interesting, but again, I think he's got a nerve issue in his elbow, so that's re-aggravated. So that pretty much makes him a no bet. So if you like him and you think that's not that serious, maybe you wait and see when he comes back in a few weeks, hopefully a month, and it's hashed out, and then you can maybe get a better number for his talent. 50-1's a lot, but like he said, it's not like this is not a market where I find a lot of guys that are really interesting.
What about, like, do you look at the Mariners? Their rotation is so stacked. Like, Brian Wu has got ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, he does.
And like, he's a 55-1. Like, I know everybody talks about Kirby and Castillo and Gilbert, but like that rotation is deep. And I mean, it's probably a dart throw and it won't win, but I don't know, maybe there. Jeff, was there anybody that you looked at here?
Jeff is speechless.
What, I don't know why I somehow muted, but I was so passionate about the AL Cy Young. You guys missed what I was going to say. No, I have nothing for the AL. I have one long shot for the NL, but I'll let you guys hammer that out.
Let's talk about the NL. Let's move on to the NL. Take us there.
Well, so I took Logan Webb. I think it was 35-1, somewhere around there.
What a homer!
What is 100% a homer.
Innings eater.
As a Giants fan, just something to watch this year for Webb. But look, he finished second in Cy Young voting 2 years ago. Threw the most innings in the National League last season. If the Giants are just remotely better, a little bit better, I think he's definitely in the conversation to win the Cy Young, or at least be in the conversation, right? To be near as a finalist near the end of the season. Will. So I did a little bit of a homer pick, something to root for this year as a Giants fan, because I don't know how good we're going to be, but I know Webb is going to be good, and maybe a little homer there. But as a long shot, he has a chance to get home. I think it's 25-1 now. As a guy, again, he was a finalist a few years ago for this award.
Strider's 22-1. I know he's coming off the injury, and who knows about the innings? Will they be careful with him? And they're concerned about getting re-injured. But boy, for a guy with his talent, for his stuff to be 22-1 is interesting. A real deep sleeper. Clay Holmes is 100-1. It's amazing. This guy was basically banished by the Yankees last year in the bullpen. Now he's the opening day starter, but he's got really good stuff. Everything moves. Everything is hard. Nothing comes in straight, which sometimes I think works to his disadvantage. But I guess he's had a couple new pitches. That's at least one, I don't know, a dart throw, which is usually how you like to approach this stuff, Sammy. But I think Strider 22-1 is the best of all those.
I think it's clear we're all shorting Paul Skeens in year number 2 at 3-1. I mean, I don't even know how much far off or how far off that is from where Clemens used to be when Clemens was lined to win a Cy Young. I mean, he had to be 2-1 and the guy won 7 of them. So to have a second year guy at 3-1 on line 1, I'm just programmed to look the other way. And I think we're all looking at that 20-1 range or higher. Dylan Cease, DraftKings has him 16. Other books have him 20. Others have him at 22. The stuff is there. The control, if he can figure that out and lock in on the control, Dylan Cease has the goods to be the best pitcher in the National League. He does. And I'm betting that at 22 before I ever bet Paul Skeens at 3-1.
Yeah, and Skeens' strikeout total 209.5 is something that I went under on as well. A lot of these player props, again, you're ultimately
under for all the pitchers,
betting on health, but with all these pitchers, you just never know. And I think betting under on a lot of these guys is certainly a way to go. Whether it's Yamamoto, whether it's Sasaki, I think under is the way to go on a lot of these strikeout props. What about Schwellenbach? I know he's been a guy who's been lights out in the spring. His rotation spot seems to be safe. Is he someone in that 25-1 range, maybe, that you could take a flyer on as well?
I could buy it. He's got the stuff. He's on a good team. I could certainly buy it. Again, innings limit, is he going to pitch enough innings to really be in the mix here? If he is, he's going to have a shot. So I don't mind that one. Any
player season long props that were, I know I've mentioned a couple along the way with Vientos over home runs and a couple of the strikeout props that I have. Are there any other season-long individual statistical props, Sammy, that you've gotten involved in?
This isn't a prop; it's an award market. But I bet Jack Kaggs at 50-1 to win the Rookie of the Year. I don't buy this that they're going to take their time with him. I think he's ready to go. Now, if you want to wait a couple of weeks and get that extra service time, I totally understand. But in spring training, he was a freaking beast.
Yeah.
I mean, 18 at-bats, 9 hits, 3 homers, 7 RBIs, an OPS of over 1,700, and it's about price. Look at the range on Jack Caglione to win the Rookie of the Year: 20-1, 25-1, 40-1, 50-1. And there will be somebody that will log in and bet that 25 or 20 and go, "Oh, what a great bet." Well, I bet the 50. And you know what, Bear? A month ago, it was 70-1. What is it if he comes up end of April and hits a couple home runs right out of the gate? I mean, kiss the 50, long gone. We're going to catch up real quick on the rookie from Florida. He is a monster. And Jeff, he's a big dude, 6'5", 250. He is built to play in the show.
Yeah, he raked in college. I mean, like, is there any surprise? I guess baseball's a little different than other sports with that. Sometimes we see guys rake in college and are not ready to come in the MLB, but we saw him do this in the SEC for years, right? So I'm not surprised he's doing it for the Royals now.
Is he going to pitch?
I hope not.
Yeah.
I don't think so. He cost me at Florida. Can you tell? College World Series.
Oh, he came in. I remember 2 years ago, he came in and walked the ballpark, right?
Yep.
Royals. Gators hit a 2-run homer. I think it was Langford hit a 2-run homer early in the game. And then Cags gave it away on the mound in game 3 against LSU. I'm over it. We're moving on.
You're over it, just like I'm over the Yankees losing the World Series and that dreadful inning in Game 5 last year. With the we're all over it. But Isaac Paredes over or is Isak, isn't it? Isak Paredes is it pronounced? Anyway, Paredes over 25.5 home runs with the Astros, as well as another individual prop that I had played. We'll move on to some win totals here now. The Yankees win total obviously has gotten beaten into submission, going from 94.5, 93.5 to now 89.5. Is this too low now, Will, or do we think under 89.5? Still, there's a little wiggle room there we can go under, or are we going over 89.5?
Yeah, I'm seeing some 88.5 in there. I'd be inclined. To me, it comes down to how long does Judge play. If Judge is healthy the whole year, there's some reasons for optimism, because look, you're never going to replace Soto, and they haven't, but it's a fairly deep lineup with a full year of Chisholm, who also has his injury concerns. But you're going to throw in Dominguez, who's a big-time prospect, who looks ready to go. I think they'll get something out of Goldschmidt and Bellinger. How much, we'll see. But Wells has some pop, and that's a strange scenario with him batting leadoff. It's a deep lineup. I don't think it's a great lineup, but I still think it could be a good lineup. And the back of the bullpen is good. The starting pitching has taken some hits, but it's okay. And we're in an era now in baseball. It's so different than growing up 90s, 2000s. Starting pitching, I don't say doesn't matter, but these guys go 5 innings. So, I mean, the really good ones are going to go 5 innings and give up 1 run. The okay ones are going to give up 2 or 3 runs. Like, there's not that much of a difference. Like, the starting pitching is not as important. It's been a devalued position in general. It's a lot about the bullpen. So, again, if Judge misses 6 weeks, this could be a 500 team. It probably will be. If he plays the whole season, I think 91, 90 in that range is doable. So it's all about how long you think Judge is going to play, which is really, really hard to figure out. He's going to be, I think, 33. He's a big guy. He's had toe issues, which hasn't been a problem, but you never know if it's a problem until it is. He's just that big body, all that muscle. There's a lot that can get hurt. If he misses 6 weeks, it's going to go under. If he plays the whole year, it's going to go over. I don't know if that answers it. It probably doesn't, but I think that's the essence of the handicap.
Well, that was the story last year. That's why we were high on all of his unders. Oh, he was talking openly about the toe, and then he wound up having an unbelievable type year. We talked about the Rangers. I bet them over 85.5 wins. We talked about the reasons before why we think they could be a good team. So Rangers over 85.5 was a win total that I liked. Sammy, what out there has caught your eye?
I like the Tigers over 83.5. You can still find that right now. I love their rotation. I love their bullpen, and I'm a big fan of the manager. So that's a trifecta that I just can get behind anytime. And I like the number, because that division, I don't feel like people know how to price that division with the Twins, the Tigers, the Guardians, and the Royals. And then, of course, my guys, which we'll get to in a second. But I do like Detroit over 83.5. And as I told you guys, I'm sitting over 49.5 this year.
Yep.
Beat the market. It's 54.5 now on the White Sox.
I bet 53.
Guys.
I bet the over 49.5, and I bet under 53.5. So we got 4 games of wiggle room there.
Middle in the White Sox.
Absolutely.
I think now the bet is the under. Right? I mean, their rotation. Have you seen the rotation? I mean,
my goodness!
Like, I know last year was historically bad. Like, I get that, and they're not likely to do that again with 41 wins. But are they going to be 14 wins better with the team they have this season? I mean, I guess the regression to the mean is certainly possible, guys, but it does feel like at this point, under 53.5 would be the play. You're not taking it over when Sammy got 49.5. So the question I have for you guys, though, is like they play the Angels to open up the season. Do I start my White Sox fade immediately, or do I wait till opening weekend's over? Because the Angels are obviously not very good either. I feel like I have to wait, or do I just play every game?
But as
like
long as Trout, if Trout is healthy, like that, that's someone like Adele has. St. Joe Adele has potential for forever, seemingly. Maybe like Soriano on days he goes, maybe like
minus one.
You can maybe start your fade, a modified White Sox fade.
Chuck Finley, Mark Langston.
Oh, of course.
As I said that about over 49.5 and having a good number. I saw the White Sox last week tweeted the name of their opening day starter. I have no idea who he is.
Sean
Burke? Sean Burke slander will not be allowed on this podcast. Enough.
No idea who he is. Sorry.
It's Sean.
No clue.
It looks like it's Sean Burke, Davis Martin, Martin. It might be Martin Perez or Martin Perez.
Martin Perez. Yep.
Shane
Jonathan
Smith.
Cannon will be in there.
Jonathan Cannon. Yeah, that's 1 through 5. Looks like.
I think of the line from Major League when the groundskeepers are talking to each other. Like, who are these sleeping guys?
And I also saw they've already had 5 guys need elbow surgery.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, good. Great start.
Yeah.
See you in 2028.
I mean, does Robert get traded? I mean, it could be bad fast, I feel like, for the White Sox again. I don't know.
Yeah, they suck.
I saw this. If you bet $100 on them to miss the playoffs, you make 50 cents.
Hey,
blue horseshoe.
Pretty good investment though these days.
Blue horseshoe.
I have no comments.
Hey, one team that we talked about before we got going were the Cincinnati Reds, and Sammy, you put it perfectly. Like there hasn't been one person out there yet that says I like the Reds under. Everybody is Reds over. You see, depending on where you look, 78.5, 79.5. Like this has the potential to go very, very badly for a lot of people, doesn't it?
It does. And you notice that it's just under 81 at a couple places that we really respect. So the easy narrative is, oh, well, they'll be 500, right? They'll get over. And you have the Tito Francona pixie dust. Yep. That'll be a part of the equation.
McLean coming back, Ellie.
The only thing that keeps me from directly fading all of this nonsense is that this division honestly might be worse than the AL Central. I mean, nobody wants to come and get it. Cubs are favored. Cubs are nothing special. Maybe Brewers, Cardinals on a downswing. Pirates are so young. You know, they could get there because of the division, but I'm not tailing the room on the Reds over. No, thank you.
Yeah, Pirates are a team that's interesting. 77.5. I know that historically this has just been such a losing franchise, a team that doesn't spend any money, they never win. That's a lot of pitching though, with Skeens, with Jones, with
Jones is going to be out. How long is Jones going to be out for? That's the problem.
Yeah, they got more guys coming though. I mean, that's the one perk of being bad forever is you draft near the top, and they've got a bunch of guys that are really, really, really talented at the top. I know that lineup is not very good, but they'll be fun to watch, at least with their pitchers.
Jeff, we going over or under with the Giants?
Oh boy, I don't know. It's a tough division. I mean, right? Dodgers good. I think Arizona over is obviously I think a favorite of some people. I have the under just to be on the other side of that. I mean, you can make up your own numbers. It must be nice. Padres, who knows? Rockies talked about what 2 weeks ago, Sammy, and the producer was yelling in our ear to wrap it up as fast as possible. We just blabbered about the Rockies for 5 minutes. They're terrible. So I don't know. I gotta see. Our lineup is a little bit better. You got young pitching. I like Posey in charge. I like Melvin. Like I like the certain pieces, but I love baseball, guys. I've watched it my entire life. I think the best money spent every year is the $100 for the MLB TV package, whatever that is, the blackout rules. I'll complain about that another time living in Charlotte, but I just watch a ton of Giants baseball, and I just hope they're not boring. Like, just don't be boring, okay? Like, just give me some excitement this season, which is what we want, I think, from all our favorite teams. Just don't be boring. So I hope we're not boring this season.
And I hope we weren't boring just now. Hopefully everybody got a winner, got a little something, got a little nugget out of that. Thanks, guys. We'll do it again soon.
All right. Thank you to the guys for their baseball insight, Bear. I know I needed their help a little bit. Baseball, not always my strongest suit. So glad we had the wagers. We're all in agreement that we're fading the White Sox and we're fading the Rockies, I think. And we're fading all the teams that are bad. And we'll obviously have more wagers throughout the year for baseball. But let's get, Bear, now to our best bets. What is your MLB best bet?
I think there are a few that I considered, but I think at the price at plus money, it's the Yankees to miss the playoffs. And I talked a little bit about it with John off the top. Like, I think this lineup now, why would you want to pitch to Aaron Judge with the status of the lineup with no Soto, no Stanton, a rotation that's going to be without Garrett Cole, without Luis Heel? Like, this is a team, I think, that has a lot of holes, a lot of flaws. I think that division, I think the Rays will be improved. The Red Sox are expected to improve. The Orioles are still very, very good. Who knows what we're going to get from the Blue Jays, but this is a team that I think is going to be in the outside of the playoffs looking in. I mean, you look at what happened last year, and it was something that we really didn't factor in our handicapping last year in terms of the AL Central. Well, with the White Sox being so bad, you've got the Twins and the Guardians and the Tigers and Royals picking up all these wins. And it's a terrible, terrible team. So I think the Yankees are on the outside looking in here at the playoffs at a really nice price number.
Bear is one of those people that just hates his favorite teams. He texted us the other day and said, bet against Miami baseball. Now we're betting against the Yankees.
What happened in the Miami baseball game against FSU?
They did not cover the run line, I'll tell you that.
Say nothing.
No, they did.
It's about being a realist. If it's about being honest, like if I'm here shilling for Miami and the Yankees and well, you can't shill for the Jets. I mean, that's impossible. But like I'm not one of these like fair weather, like, oh, they're going to win every single game. It's not going to happen. So yeah,
it's okay.
Call me a realist.
I'm doing the opposite. I'm actually wagering on Shohei Ohtani to win the MVP again for the despised rival of my San Francisco Giants here. Look, Shohei won the MVP last season, and he was hurt. He's going to pitch this year. Like, he's going to pitch, and he's going to hit. I don't know how and what the argument would be unless he is hurt for not to win the MVP. Let's say his production hitting drops a tiny bit because he has to pitch a little bit more. Well, his pitching's going to make up for that, right? He's one of the better pitchers in all of baseball. So now you get both a pitcher and a hitter, which hasn't been done. I mean, people will say Babe Ruth. He wasn't much of a pitcher. That was also 100 years ago, Bear. 100 years ago. So
Cy Young level pitching, by the way.
Yes. So I'll take Ohtani to win the MVP. Of course, this number probably could have gotten it better 2 months ago, but I mean, 3 weeks into the season, this is going to be a different number. So might as well get it now. And I mean, I don't know, Soto going to play well enough to win? I don't see someone playing that much better than, you have to be better, like better than Ohtani. Don't see it happening. So give me Ohtani to win the MVP again.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And not to harp too much on last year, but this was one of the arguments that I was making last year when we started, and I was getting made fun of for saying NL MVP Francisco Lindor. Like, there wasn't a player last year that was more valuable to his team, the truest sense of value than Lindor. And Ohtani had an unbelievable offensive year. But now you're taking offensive player of the year type numbers with a Cy Young level pitcher. Like you said, Jeff, if he's healthy and in the lineup and in the rotation for however long he's going to be the MVP every single year now, except if people just get ultimately tired of voting for him. But I'm with you. Like what you said is right. This is going to be a number that is going to be minus money at some point in the very near future. So yeah, I have that.
Baseball voters tend to not get caught up in, I think, in other sports where they say, like, in their mind, the other guy has to win. I mean, Bonds won 4 years in a row in San Francisco. I mean, they just give it to the best player. Plus, there's 2 MVPs, right? If it was just one, maybe there's more variance, but you got an NL and an AL, and they just tend to give it to the player that's the best player. And they don't care if it's 7 straight years in a row. If that's, so be it. That's what it is.
Yeah, I think just because of the length of the season as well. But the fact you got an AL and an MVP, an AL and an NL, I think that I like your bet. I've made it already as well. So we'll see what happens. But that was fun. I appreciate John taking the time out to join us.
Oh yeah, of course.
I loved him as a player, not to get too much of a man crush, but that game 5 of the '96 World Series with him and Pettit, that pitcher's duel is one of the best baseball games I've ever seen. And fortunately for me, the Yankees won. I was always terrified when my team faced him, but it was awesome to preview the season with him. On a lesser note, yeah, we had to deal with Will and Sammy again, but no, we love those guys. But yeah, they got some good baseball thoughts as well.
We're ready for baseball, Bear. We
We're
like
ready
it.
for baseball. Jeff, we appreciate you as always for hopping on with me and co-hosting this ship and getting us in the right direction. But yeah, appreciate everybody again for listening, downloading, rating, reviewing, subscribing, wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be Apple, Spotify, our Bear Bets YouTube channel. Always feel free to interact. Let us know what your favorite bets for the season are. For Will, for Sammy, for Jeff, I'm Bear. Remember, less you bet, the more you lose when you win.